Her name is Alyssa Morgan, 26 years old. Sharp mind, quiet confidence, the kind of girl people underestimate until it's too late. She was born into the Morgan family in Chicago. Her father, Richard Morgan, was a strict, old-school businessman who believed success had one formula: men lead, women follow. Her older brother, Ethan Morgan, was groomed to take over the family logistics company. Alyssa, she was treated like a backup plan, or worse, a mistake. But what her father never realized was simple. The daughter he dismissed was the one who would outgrow him. Alyssa grew up in a house where approval was earned, but never given to her. Every dinner felt like a performance review. Ethan's achievements were celebrated loudly. A future CEO, Richard would say proudly. Alyssa's ideas? Dismissed instantly. At 18, Alyssa told her father she wanted to study business analytics and tech-driven logistics. Richard didn't even look up from his plate. That's not for you. She tried again. I have ideas on how your company could. He cut her off. I already have a son for that. Silence. That sentence stayed with her, burned into her memory. Years later, after finishing college with top grades, Alyssa came back with a proposal. A full digital expansion plan for the family business. Data systems, route optimization, automation. She presented everything. Richard barely glanced at it. Then he laughed. Actually laughed. This is why I didn't want you in business. Ethan smirked. You think spreadsheets make you a CEO. Alyssa felt the humiliation rise in her chest, but she didn't cry. Not in front of them. Instead, she asked one question. If I prove this works, would you consider it? Richard leaned back. No. Flat. Cold. Final. You'll never make it in this industry. That was the moment everything changed. Because Alyssa didn't argue, didn't beg, didn't try to convince him anymore. She simply nodded, closed her laptop, and walked away. But in her mind, one sentence repeated over and over. I'll prove you wrong. And this time, she wouldn't do it for approval. She'd do it for power. Backhand index pointing, right? But what Alyssa did next would completely flip her father's world. Alyssa didn't leave the Morgan house dramatically. She left quietly. No goodbye speech. No emotional breakdown. Just a suitcase, her laptop, and a plan. She moved into a small studio apartment on the edge of the city. Cheap rent. No comfort. Just space to think. While her father expanded his traditional logistics business, Alyssa went in the opposite direction. She studied data systems, AI route optimization, supply chain automation. She saw something her father didn't. The future wasn't trucks. It was smart logistics. She freelanced at first. Small contracts, startup clients, late nights, rejections. But she didn't stop. Within a year, she built a prototype platform that reduced delivery costs by 30%. That's when investors started noticing. By 24, Alyssa launched her company, NovaChain Logistics. Small team, big vision, no family support, no connections, just results. Meanwhile, the Morgan company stayed stuck. Old methods, high costs, declining efficiency. Richard didn't notice the shift. He thought his name was enough. Alyssa knew better, because she wasn't chasing recognition anymore. She was building something unstoppable. And soon, her company would cross paths with her father's in a way no one expected. 3 years later, the industry changed. Fast. Companies began switching to tech-driven logistics systems. Efficiency became everything. And NovaChain was leading that wave. Alyssa didn't advertise emotionally. She let numbers speak. Lower costs, faster delivery, smarter systems. Corporate clients started leaving traditional companies, including Morgan Logistics. Richard didn't understand at first. Temporary trend, he said. Ethan agreed. But the losses kept growing. Contracts disappeared. Revenue dropped. Meanwhile, Alyssa expanded. New offices, bigger team, major contracts. And then came the moment. A massive national contract, one that Morgan Logistics had relied on for years, went to Novachain, Alyssa's company. Richard saw the name on the report. For the first time, he froze. Who the hell is Alyssa Morgan? Ethan checked the company profile, then looked up slowly. Dad. Silence, because the daughter they dismissed was now their biggest competitor. Backhand index pointing right, but the real twist hadn't happened yet. Morgan Logistics started collapsing quietly. Debt increased. Clients left. Reputation weakened. Richard tried to recover, but he was too late, because Alyssa wasn't just competing. She was dominating. Then came the final blow, a buyout offer from Novachain. Richard stared at the paperwork in disbelief. His daughter's company, offering to acquire his. Ethan was furious. This is disrespect. But Richard knew something deeper. It wasn't disrespect. It was reality. With no options left, he accepted. And just like that, Morgan Logistics became part of Novachain. Alyssa didn't celebrate loudly. She signed the papers calmly. Because this wasn't revenge through anger. This was revenge through success. Backhand index pointing right. But the most powerful moment was still coming. The first day, Richard walked into Novachain headquarters. Everything felt different. Modern, efficient, alive. And at the top floor office sat Alyssa, confident, composed, in control. She stood as he entered, not as a daughter, as a CEO. He looked at her for a long moment, then said quietly, "I was wrong." Alyssa didn't smile, didn't mock him. She simply replied, "I know." He was offered a position, not as owner, not as boss, but as an employee, reporting under her system, her vision, her company, and he accepted, because for the first time, he had no power to deny reality. The daughter, he said would never make it, had built something he couldn't compete with. And now, he worked for her, not because she forced him, but because she proved him wrong. Completely. Final lesson. Never let someone else's limits define your future. Sometimes the people who doubt you the most are the ones who will witness your success up close. And the strongest revenge is success so undeniable, they have no choice but to respect it.